Hello guys and welcome to Evo India, and with me I have the man, the legend himself, who needs no introduction, C S Santosh. I have with me this very interesting bike, the Xpulse 200 4-valve. It gets a new 4-valve head that is supposed to dramatically improve the performance of this bike. To find out just how much of an improvement it is over the previous bike, we're doing two tests with this bike. One is the road test. We rode down from Pune to here, and if you can't make out from the background, we're here at the BigRock Dirtpark in Kolar, that's just outside Bangalore. And then we're participating in the BigRock Trail Attack. This is also my first time off-roading, so before we get into everything about the off-road section, let's cut to how it was on the highway. Alright, so here we are out on the highway. We started riding around 4:30 in the morning and we have covered approximately 260 kilometers since. And we have with us both the new Xpulse 200 with the 4-valve engine and the old Xpulse with the 2-valve engine that it replaces. Well, on paper, the 1 bhp difference might not seem like a lot, but when you ride both bikes back to back, the difference is immediately apparent. You can easily carry 5-10 kilometers per hour higher cruising speeds and the engine stays more relaxed through it all. You can have more headroom to make quicker overtakes, and like the gearing is also different, so you have a lot more trackability throughout the gear range. And a quick tip for you guys doing road trips out there: if you and your friends are taking a car and a bike, you know for a fact you on the bike are going to reach sooner because you don't need to wait in those nasty toll booth lines. So we're at the 650 kilometer mark right now, and this is out of a journey that's roughly 930 kilometers long. And here's the update. Both Xpulses have been performing exceptionally well, and the suspension setup is made for exactly what we are doing. Good roads, bad roads, no roads. It will handle everything in its stride, no problems whatsoever. But of the two, this new Xpulse with that 4-valve engine is just a tad bit more comfortable. Because you're carrying higher speeds, your engine is more relaxed, there are less vibes you're dealing with, and you still have enough headroom to make quicker overtakes. But I'm not saying it's perfect. I would have liked a bit more power to carry just a bit more cruising speed, because when you're on highways, cars are whooshing faster than 140 kilometers an hour and there's not much you can do. So if we could carry a little more speed, that would be welcome. But on the whole, the journey is going great so far. So we've reached our stay for the night, and I'm going to give you a final update of what I think about the new Xpulse on the highway. So we finished roughly 900 kilometers getting here, and let me give you the things I like about it the most first. That engine, it's creamy, it has great trackability, that gearbox is slick, you don't miss any shifts, no false neutrals, none of that sort. Higher cruising speed than this, so that's already a big plus. The brakes are fabulous, the suspension setup is amazing for the kind of roads you deal with in India. And what else? Yeah, that's pretty much the few pointers I wanted to highlight that I like, but there are a few things that I don't like as well. I would have liked a USB slot, considering this is a touring machine, so many people would want to mount their phone, but the USB slot is under the seat, so that's a little odd. My second and third gripe with the bike has been addressed to an extent with the 4-valve Xpulse, but these could be improved upon further. The first of which is the headlight setup, which could do with a bit more illumination at night. And the second is the seat setup, which is still slightly on the softer side for touring application. But now, with all that out of the way, we have a great 2 days to look forward to with C S Santosh at the BigRock Dirtpark. So let's cut to that. The next morning, we head to the BigRock Dirtpark to get myself registered for the 2021 Trail Attack, go for the recce rounds to get familiar with the track, and finally meet C S Santosh and talk about the bike and get as many tips as I can from him to help a noob like me participate in an off-road event like the Trail Attack 2021. Now with the highway riding out of the way, we're going to make you wait for just a little bit longer on the impressions on how it is off-road. Before that, I want C S Santosh to tell us about Indian motorsport and what Hero is doing in Indian motorsport at a grassroots level and all of those things.
Thank you so much for having me on. Of course, motorsport is a growing avenue of motorsports in India, and it's actually growing. So it's fantastic that we're able to cover some aspect of it. Basically, what you need to know is if you have an interest in motorsport, there are a couple of things that you can do, a couple of championships actually. So we can start with the Dirt Track Championship. There is the Supercross, Motocross Championships, and then there's the National Rally Championship, and then there's Sprint Championship as well. So these 4 forms of motorsport are there for 2 wheels. And of course, if you have just an interest to ride motorcycles like our man did, you can basically express that interest in a place like BigRock Dirtpark, because we're trying to bring in amateurs that have an interest towards motorcycling to experience motorcycling at some point and experience a race. So that's what he did, and that's what we're trying to basically grow all these people into appreciating what we do on the motorcycles.
The Hero Xpulse, it's you could go as far as calling it your baby.
So yes, the Xpulse. I'm sorry to cut you off and come in right now, because with Hero, it's fantastic that a company like Hero, of course the world's largest manufacturer of motorcycles, is now involved to bring a product like the Xpulse, which is basically an adventure motorcycle, and at a price that we Indians can afford. Not a high-end motorcycle, but a price that a normal Indian can afford to have this aspiration. And it's an adventure motorcycle. So it started with, of course, the rally team, which we basically race around the world. And of course, the Dakar, the pinnacle of off-road racing, is what we do at the rally team. But what we learn in the Dakar is what we put into the product, which is the Xpulse. So all of the learnings that we've had over the last 5 years has seen its way transformed into the Xpulse in one way or another. So very, very happy about what Hero is doing and how it's coming into play in a country as magnificent as India.
Definitely. And so apart from that, you all also did a great thing of launching the rally kit. Can you tell me a bit about how the rally kit comes into play? And
yes, so the rally kits, yes, it's very interesting that the rally kit is available on the Xpulse. So Xpulse is a motorcycle that you can buy from the showroom and actually enjoy it irrespective of where you take it. An adventure motorcycle. But if you then find a calling in you that feels it wants to do more of adventure, you can basically upgrade that appetite of yours and afford a rally kit at a very, very, very affordable price with longer travel suspension, adjustable both front and back. Then you have the handlebar raisers, and then of course you have the gear lever, which is also adjustable for the rally kit as well, and the seat. So these forms are addressed with the rally kit, and it's very, very affordable for the Xpulse rally kit.
And all these changes have made a big difference in people's riding, but there was still a little that was hindering people from getting the Xpulse, and that was its power, or rather the way it made its power. Enter the Xpulse 204 valve, which seems to address all these issues. Can you give us a bit of a deep dive into what the thought process behind the Xpulse 4 valve was?
Yeah, like you said, the Xpulse 2 valve, yes, it of course did a lot of things that a normal motorcycle couldn't do, but there was a want for more on the freeways and on the highways when you hit it. And we try to address that aspect by trying to keep the cost to where it actually is. So we basically did that with the 4 valve, a more comfortable, free-flowing engine, but being able to do all the things that the 2 valve did. So we take the good points from the 2 valve, move it forward into a more comfortable scenario in terms of the engine. So basically you will not feel that need that, oh, I want a bit more. But of course you want it, but we're able to address that a little bit more with the 4 valve.
Correct. And do you feel this has impacted its off-road performance quite a bit also?
Also, just not the 4 valve is only effective on the tarmac, it's also effective even off-road as well. You feel that initial bit that everybody talks about, yes, right down to the bottom, you can feel the 4 valve coming in, and it has its own characteristics.
Now this is where I start getting nervous. Like I said, it's my first time off-roading, and off-roading is one thing, but I've directly been put into a competition situation. So do you have any tips for me?
So the tip for you, the biggest tip that all motorcycle racers would tell another guy aspiring is to enjoy that process. It's not about the pressure of winning or losing, it's about enjoying that process of finishing a race. So it's very important that you're actually going to take part in this race with no pressure attached to your performance, but you basically going through this race and enjoying the fact that you're actually doing it. That's what we want to basically send you home with.
After an inspiring conversation with the champ, Santosh left me with the very capable Nikhil Balakrishna, a coach at BigRock Dirtpark, to help me get the basics of off-roading down. Now, I won't get into too much detail, but here are the basics that Nikhil told me. You should always be on the ball of your feet on the foot pegs for optimum weight transfer. You should ensure that your legs are holding onto the bike both with your ankle and the inside of your leg, that is especially your knees. And to do this successfully, you need to engage your core. Now doing this will ensure that you have proper grip over the bike at all times and you're leaving your upper body free to move around. Move your hip back slightly when you're in the standing position and get your elbows out to get the required amount of maneuverability. Along with this, also ensure that your wrists are aligned with your elbow and shoulders and are not facing upwards. Now this will aid you in two ways. One, you get smoother throttle control, and two, you'll have less strain on your wrists. Final point that Nikhil gave me for the day was for me to start using either two or ideally just one finger on the control levers, that is the clutch and the brake, to ensure that the pinky and the ring finger are always in full contact with the thumb and wrapped around the handlebar, so I never lose control over that. With the brief training session done, I move on to get the bike prepped for the Trail Attack competition. This involved getting a full inspection of the bike and my gear by the officials at the track, tying down the pillion foot pegs and getting all stickered up. And then finally, it's go time. Alright, so the day of riding is done. I'm back from the Trail Attack. I survived. I managed to post a rather non-impressive 57-minute time for 5 laps, but I don't care. It was my first time riding off-road and I had a blast of a time, and there's one thing, the one reason for that happening. That is this bike, the Hero Xpulse 204V. Now the small changes like that 4-valve engine, that new gear ratios, that oil cooler have translated into a monumental difference between the two bikes. It's so much more easier. You have the tractability of the engine allows you to go hit a trail. Like for me, I'm a total noob. So there are certain sections where I know for a fact I'm going to be startled if I need to do a gear change. But this engine, it just chugs along like a tractor. No worries, no stress. You never run out of power unless you're really gunning it. And those who gun it, like Nikhil for that matter, he was also head over heels in love with this bike. And there is a reason why. This bike is testament to the fact that you don't need to spend bucket loads of money buying that big ass ADV. You have a bike that can tour. Like we proved, we came here 900 kilometers away from our base HQ. We had two days of non-stop hard off-road riding and nothing went wrong, literally nothing. The only thing I can say is that this number plate came off, and that is pennies worth of damage, that's it. And now tomorrow we're going to ride back comfortably, no stress. So this proves that you want something, start small. And you do have something. There's no more reason for us to complain that we don't have a good ADV that is affordable in India anymore. So for that, kudos Hero.